When people think of basketball in the Americas, they usually think of NBA superstars and Olympic gold medals, but the FIBA Americup is a whole different story. This isn't Team USA rolling out LeBron James and Stephen Curry. Instead, this is a tournament full of grit, pride, and national identity. It is a rare moment for players from across North, Central, and South America to represent their countries on a major stage, even if most American fans unfortunately don't even realize it's happening. From Brazil and Argentina's rich basketball history to the always passionate Caribbean squads like Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, and even the smaller nations who have yet to make an impact globally like Nicaragua or the Bahamas. There is a lot to be excited about this summer. Today I am breaking down and predicting the 2025 FIBA Americup tournament. Who are the favorites, the underdogs, the potential disappointments, and my predictions for who gets on the podium. Before we get started, please do me a big favor and like the video as it helps me out far more than I think you guys realize. Consider becoming a channel member if you want to support these videos directly and subscribe for more basketball related content. I'm trying to hit 1 million subscribers before the gold medal games, so let's make that happen. First, a breakdown of how the tournament even works. Unlike the Asia Cup or Afrobasket, there are only 12 teams competing in the Americup, which is how the Olympics did it. These 12 are broken into 3 groups of 4. Each country will play 3 round-robin matches against the opponents in their group, then based on how they finish, it will dictate their position in the final knockout bracket. The top 2 teams in each group are guaranteed to move on, then between the 3 third-place teams, the 2 best will move on as well. This is first based off of win total, then, and more likely in the event of a tie, it is based off of point differential, meaning every basket from start to finish matters. Unfortunately, unlike the Olympics, FIBA has not released exactly how the seeding will work in the final bracket, but I would imagine it will go in the order of the 3 first place teams ranked, followed by the 3 second place teams ranked, then the 2 third place teams ranked. But you never know. If a second place team is tied in the wins column with a first place team, then they may just rank them based on point differential. I don't know. It's not explained anywhere, unfortunately. Then, the knockout bracket is single game elimination with the exception of the semifinals where the losers will play in a third place match. It all gets started on August 22nd and the gold medal match is only a week and a half later on August 31st. Oh, and if you are curious, the host nation is Nicaragua. One more thing. Similar to how the other tournaments operated, we do not know who is competing for every national team until the day before the event kicks off, sometimes later. Of course, some squads have full rosters already announced, but most only have preliminary squads. This makes what I am about to do even more difficult, but the show must go on. With all of that out of the way, let's get into the teams. Starting out with Group A, the team I believe will be finishing 4th will be the Bahamas. They are only here as the result of a controversial technicality after Cuba was denied entry into Puerto Rico for their final qualifying game, which must be infuriating for the Cuban fans. This is not the same Bahamas team that made a lot of noise last year trying to make the Olympics. There is no Buddy Hield, DeAndre Ayton, VJ Edgecombe, or Eric Gordon. Instead, they'll be rocking a squad mostly made up of low-level semi-professionals. The biggest exception to this, though, will be their center Kai Jones, who managed to get back in the NBA last season. Kai is a great athlete who can catch lobs, clean up misses, and can be a great weak-side rim protector. But he is not great at putting the ball on the floor or shooting, which will put a lot of pressure on his team's guards to find him in the half-court set. Thankfully, point guards Franco Miller and Dominic Bridgewater have experience competing in Europe and are well-versed with this national team, but I really worry about their forwards and their lack of a strong second unit. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to win a single game. Finishing 3rd will be Uruguay. One of the very best small countries in the Americas, Uruguay has a long history with the sport of basketball that dates back to 1930 when they were the continent's first ever international champion. In fact, they were the first ever champion of any continental tournament as South America pioneered these sort of events. They will be led by Spanish Liga ACB point guard Bruno Fittipaldo, who excels with passing and long-range shooting. In fact, though the sample size is comically small and spaced out over an entire year, Uruguay's team 37% three-point shot was the very best of anyone in the Americup qualifiers. Other players to watch out for are fellow ACB standouts Joaquin Rodriguez and guard Santiago Vescovi. Group A features some very tough teams, but I don't think you should count Uruguay out. They will make a good case to be one of the third-place teams moving on. Taking second, to the surprise of many I am willing to bet, I have the United States. Ever since FIBA changed the qualification system for all their major tournaments, making the Americup no longer impact who moves on to the World Cup or Olympics, Team USA has stopped sending actual NBA talent. Now we have a bunch of guys with very little to zero NBA experience who play their professional ball in either Europe, Japan, or the G League. Langston Galloway may be the most recognizable name here because he had a pretty long NBA career as a three-point shooting specialist. He will be crucial to them getting out of the group stage, as overall this squad leaves a lot to be desired with long-range accuracy, passing, and rebounding. I'm worried about their interior presence especially, as they only have a couple big men here. One being Jack Cooley, who has had a ton of success in Japan, but he is pretty landlocked and doesn't space the floor at all. And the other big is Zach August, who also plays in Japan and leaps a lot better than Cooley, but he is more of a forward and he's not a good rim protector. Jerian Grant is another name to keep an eye on, as he is the only EuroLeague representative here. He is the team's best shooter, and his defensive versatility is definitely going to be counted on. Though the individual players are pretty good relative to the competition, it is the lack of chemistry that will be their biggest hurdle. Team USA actually lost a qualifier match early on against Cuba, who themselves failed to qualify for the tournament. This will be a very interesting team to keep an eye on. The nation winning Group A, I believe, will be Brazil. One of the continent's best teams every year, Brazil routinely is a very physical bunch who do most of their damage inside, despite not having any true centers. NBA standout Mauzinho Pereira is definitely a player who needs to be watched closely, as he was one of the G League's very best rim attackers and lob finishers this past season. His experience competing and training with NBA players should be very impactful. Brazil has a number of strong forwards to keep an eye on. Bruno Caboclo, Lucas Diaz, and Leo Mindel highlight this bunch. All of them compete in high-level pro leagues and have plenty of valuable national team experience alongside one another. And they have some pretty special guards orchestrating it all. Iago dos Santos competes professionally in the EuroLeague and already has a long history leading the Brazilian national team. He averaged 14 points and 7 assists per game at the 2023 World Cup at only 23 years old. If you match each position head-to-head with Team USA, there may not be a clear winner, but the experience Brazil is bringing to this tournament is why I am giving them the slight edge in their matchup. But it'll be very close. Moving on to Group B, finishing fourth, I have Venezuela. Though this team has made some noise in years past, this squad lacked high-end firepower and depth. I would say their most intriguing players are NCAA product Jean Ararunden, who just had a very impressive sophomore season scoring the ball, as well as their Argentinian Liga standouts Angelo Cineros and Jefferson Guerra. Plus, their Venezuelan domestic league standout Johanna Cefontes is very fun to watch. Though they have some players that should not be completely overlooked, nobody here is going to carry them far. And like I already said, their depth is just not very good. Finishing third, I have Panama. Though they were one of the weakest teams in the qualifiers, struggling to only 3 wins, 2 of which were against the victoryless Paraguay team and 1 was against Brazil's backup team, this is still a tough bunch. Panama will play fast and physical. They will be led by star guard duo Iverson Molinar and Javon Jackson. Both played professionally in Europe this past year and both are excellent ball handlers who can create looks for themselves and their teammates. Jackson especially can get hot from deep in a hurry and score a ton of points. Off-ball wings Ricardo Lindo, Akil Mitchell, and Eric Romero will also be integral to them putting up a good fight, but it is a tough battle in front of them. Taking second, I have Puerto Rico. A pretty interesting team here. They have a few guys from their Olympic run last year, as well as a few making their debuts with the senior national team. It looks like they are viewing this tournament as an in-between year where they try to integrate new young talent into their team. Leading the bunch is veteran NBA point guard Jose Alvarado. an elite shooter, passer, and one of the very best perimeter defensive players in the sport. On the inside, national team veteran George Condit will be looking to hold down the fort on the glass and protecting the paint. A few other names to know are power forward Isaiah Pinedo, Spanish Liga ACB point guard Gian Clavel, and Eurocup star guard Alfonso Plummer. This is not the tallest team in the tournament, but they are lightning quick, not afraid to get physical, and can shoot the long ball with the best of them. But they are no match for the squad taking first in Group B, Canada. Like Team USA, Canada treats the Americup very differently than they do the World Cup or Olympics. Most of these guys play professionally in Europe or the G League, with a couple noteworthy exceptions. Keyshawn George was a first-round pick in the NBA last year and had himself a pretty alright rookie season with the Washington Wizards. He is athletic, long, and can put the ball on the floor, but his shooting accuracy wasn't great. I'm willing to bet him deciding to compete this summer is him putting his best foot forward and essentially trying out for the major tournament national team down the road. He's not alone though. Fringe NBA talent Leonard Miller has spent the past 2 seasons mostly in the G League. He'll be looking to showcase what he can do in the paint and on the boards in these games. I am anticipating these two guys having some spectacular plays against the smaller and less athletic competition in this group. A few other guys to look out for on this team include former NBA talents Fiondu Kabengele and Kyle Wiltjer, as well as international standouts Javon Blair and Trey Bell Haynes. This is a pretty talented Canadian team, even if you don't see a lot of NBA talent. And finally, Group C, finishing fourth, I have Nicaragua. The host nation of the tournament enters with virtually no basketball history. Nicaragua has never even appeared in a major tournament. This is their first ever Americup outing. Most of their guys unfortunately only compete in their own domestic league, therefore there is very little details about this roster, with only a couple exceptions. Norchad Omier is by far their most recognizable name. Last year, he was one of the very best rebounders in all of the NCAA despite being very short for the center position at only about 6'7". But he makes up for it with his sheer strength and high basketball IQ. He also played well in the most recent NBA Summer League, so we know he can hang in the paint with taller professionals. Another guy worth knowing is their point guard Jared Ruiz, who put up impressive all-around numbers for them in the qualifiers. These two will be productive, but this team is undersized, doesn't have many shooters, and lacks playmakers. But you bet they will be fighting hard in front of their home crowd. Taking third, I believe, will be Colombia. Another team that sometimes puts up an impressive fight despite not having any big names. They struggled through the qualifiers, shooting the ball poorly and only winning 3 matches, 2 of which against Chile, who didn't qualify. But nevertheless, they earned the right to be here. One strength of theirs is the fact they actually have better size than most teams in the tournament. Former NBA center Jaime Echenike and Tony Trochet Morelos will battle inside, but neither are great creators offensively. This is where Eurocup star wing Brian Angola Rodas is going to be relied on heavily, as apart from him, they really don't have any big-time producers on that end of the floor. Though they do have one wild card that you should watch out for, an NCAA forward Jared Valencia. The tall, long, and bouncy wing shot the ball well and showcased some defensive versatility these past 2 years in the US. This will be his first time competing with the national team, so I am expecting some high-energy play out of him. Colombia may not be a serious medal threat, but they are not an easy out. Taking second, I have the Dominican Republic. Always one of the better teams from the continent, the Dominicans are unfortunately missing their premier NBA talent Karl Anthony Towns for this tournament, but they still have a lot to be excited about. Their two-headed point guard attack that mixes veteran experience in Andres Feliz and youthful energy in Jean Montero have been a force to be reckoned with in FIBA competitions for a while now. 2 summers ago, at only 19 years old, Montero averaged nearly 10 points per game at the World Cup. I'm expecting some major production from him at this unquestionably weaker tournament. Beyond these two, forward David Jones Garcia is another player to watch out for. He just had himself a summer to remember, averaging a staggering 22 points per game in the NBA Summer League. He can do damage both inside and out and is switchable defensively. The Dominicans earned the right to be here by fighting through the toughest division in the qualifiers, defeating both Mexico and Canada in the process. They will be a serious podium contender. But they are not my pick to win the group. That will be South American powerhouse Argentina. Despite being on their preliminary roster, longtime national team veterans Nicolas Laprovitola and Gabriel Deck will not be competing in the Americup. And even more surprising, EuroLeague star Facundo Campazzo has also stepped away from the team after competing in a couple of their tune-up matches. This leaves veteran forward Nicolas Brusino in charge of leading a mostly young bunch on the court in the tournament. Brusino has had a long career spanning the NBA, Spanish Liga ACB, and Eurocup. Though he is not usually a major scorer, he has appeared in 2 Olympics and now 5 Americup tournaments. Hopefully, the young players around him are listening to him behind the scenes. 25-year-old point guard Juani Ignacio Marcos is going to be counted on to step up and orchestrate the offense. And the under-24s Gonzalo Corbalán, Alex Nigrit, Bautista Lugarini, Santiago Truitt, and Dylan Bordandri are all going to need to step up more than I am sure they anticipated a few weeks ago. They have good size, versatility, and are very well coached by Argentine legend Pablo Prigioni. Even without their big names, this will be a very good team. And that wraps up pool play. Now, let me punch these teams into the final bracket and let's predict some outcomes. I am not going to spend as much time here since these are single games and who knows what can happen any given night. A key player could get in foul trouble early, a random bench guy you've never heard of can get hot from deep, and everything in between. Remember, this is just for fun. Some viewers in my Asia Cup video got pretty offended. Please try not to take anything I'm saying here personally. Round 1. Canada versus Colombia. A good job to Colombia making it this far, but drawing the best team in round 1 is a death sentence. Canada will win. The Dominican Republic versus the United States. This will be a hard-fought game with a lot of national pride on the line. The Dominicans may want it more, but I believe Team USA will come out on top. Brazil versus Puerto Rico. Strong forwards with one great guard versus good forwards with one amazing point guard. This will be a battle worth watching. I have Brazil coming out on top. Argentina versus Uruguay. A couple South American powerhouses duking it out, but Argentina will be too much. They will win. Round 2. Canada versus the United States. The two basketball kings of the Americas meet in the medal-defining match. This will be an exciting game that features some big-time plays and maybe even some career-defining performances. Though neither country is taking the tournament as seriously as you would like, once the game tips off, the passion of these guys should be equal to that of an Olympic gold medal match. I am picking Canada to take this one. Brazil versus Argentina. The two best teams in South America will duke it out with a guaranteed medal on the line. Both squads came here to win, but only one will earn the right to fight for gold. As much as I respect Argentina, I believe Brazil will take this one. For the bronze medal, we have the United States versus Argentina. If Argentina was at full power, this game would be so much better. But with what they have before us, I just think the individual talent the Americans have will be too much. Give me Team USA to take the bronze, their second consecutive third place finish in the Americup, and third straight overall medal. And for the gold medal match, we have Canada versus Brazil. A game that will be very tight and really could go either way. I like both squads' rosters and recognize the continuity advantage the Brazilians have, but the high-end talent on Canada's team may be too much to overcome. Ultimately, I believe Canada will come out on top and take the gold medal. Their first medal of any kind since 2015, meaning they will end a 10-year drought. Brazil, meanwhile, should still be elated as they will get the silver medal, which is their second consecutive. So there you have it, my complete 2025 Americup preview and predictions. In case you cannot tell, as I have been for the Asia Cup and Afrobasket, I am really looking forward to this tournament. Please let me know down below who you guys are rooting for, which players you are most excited to see play, and who you think is going to come out on top. Thank you all for watching the video all the way up until the end. Remember to like if you have not already, subscribe for more basketball related content, and I will see you all next time.